think that
Prof, let me tell you, we have been looking at the Nigerian glass as half full since 1960. I'm a very optimistic human being. Every day I wake up, I say this is a new day for me, and I'm going to achieve what I've never achieved before. That's my mindset. But sometimes my previous employer, he said you can't argue with mathematics. 2 + 2 is 4. Looking at Nigeria from independence, every successive administration, a kind of tries to perform poorly better than. It's a case of who would perform worse or poorly than the previous one. In the 80s, let's not even go that far. We know how much a liter of petrol was in 2015, 2016, 17, up until 2 years ago. We know how the public schools are faring, the healthcare sector, the economy, even the politics. Before, there was some time votes used to count, but now it's like it's going down and there is no hope for the future. Do you still want us to be optimistic? Look at the statistics, look at the index. As of 2014-15, Nigeria was the largest economy. Down the line, I think they are about the 10th or whatever. I don't know where they are now, if they are still being graded at all. You know how many people that have come to the UK from Nigeria in the last 2 years and still coming because of the hardship? We're not talking about the security situation in the country. All the things that you will use to assess a government performance in that country has been on a free flow, on a reverse gear, on the opposite direction that it's supposed to move. Do you think we still need to be optimistic?
We have no choice. We have to be optimistic. That's the truth.
Exactly. I think
because that's what I'm trying to say. Because at the end, if you're not optimistic, if you don't hold optimism, what can you really do? You can't be pessimistic. I get where you're coming from, but I still feel that's all we can. And it's only if you're optimistic that you can really change things. And when you go with the pessimist lens, you'll never be able to do it.
Yeah, and when you are being optimistic, if I may borrow from Prof's words here, that is you looking at the future, hoping that the future will be better, being futuristic as well. And if I may come into that through that direction, Prof, as somebody who have authored several books on leadership, and many people are listening to us today, they are hoping to learn something that would maybe help them to form their leadership skills. Maybe if they want to go into politics tomorrow, or if they want to be captains of industry and all that. So based on your vast experience in leadership, how do you think aspiring leaders, whether in business, whether in government, or even in communities, how can they cultivate and strengthen these leadership capacities that will make, or leadership capabilities that will lead us to that desired future?
Good. I think just almost like a double-barrel question. So there are many in that. I'm happy that we have moved away from political leadership. We're becoming into contention. Talking about Nigeria.
Okay, from this if you feel that way. No. But that's my personal view.
And I think that's the reason for this, for the podcast, so that we can always share views.
Exactly.
And at the end, we agree to disagree in different areas. But I totally understand where you're coming from. I think for me, I developed a framework years ago about these are the leadership skills, and I tend to use that in my trainings and all that. And I believe that as a leader, you should have basic competence. Like it involves 5 key skills for me. First is the technical skill. You need to have the technical ability, whether in politics, whether in business, whether in education. That's why normally a law firm, you're a barrister, and as a leader, you need to have a law degree. So it's important. So you need to understand, you need to have that technical competence normally. And one of the things I also got from my research then was business. And that's why many, going back to political leaders, isn't it? That many of them now try to push that they can manage a business. Because if you can manage a business, you can manage a country. If you can manage a business, you can manage a university. So business skills are key. But the basic skills of helping and supporting people, interpersonal skills are important. Because if leadership is about influence, I always say leadership is one word, and leadership is influence. And that's why people like Adolf Hitler, people like I don't know, I don't want to mention so many names, but many people that people, okay, are these people leaders? But at the end, they've been able to influence others. And because they have interpersonal skills. So you need to be able to relate with people. You need to be empathetic. You need to be able to listen to people. You need to be able to develop people. So having that interpersonal skills are important. But beyond that, like I had said initially, is about conceptual skills, vision, planning, being entrepreneurial. So those are these. If you look at of course, in one of my books, if you see it, you see the skill. But going to your second question is, how do you develop that capacity? How do you become that next leader that Oscar really wants for the country? How do you become that leadership? That leader, the ideal leader. I always say there are 4 key ways. The first is it's about education. It's about developing yourself. It's about that, and that's why I run different leadership development programs with my skill framework. And that's for going back to Nigeria. That's why we need to invest in education. I always say leadership should be a core part of every program. So if you want to learn how to be a leader, then definitely you need to educate yourself. You want to learn about entrepreneurial leadership, do that. But another key part is the personal journey. You need to take ownership of your leadership. And for me, that is so important. This podcast is a way to learn about leadership. You can read books about leadership. It's a personal journey. So in doing that, it's key that you take ownership of your leadership. So you have to develop yourself. Read books, watch programs. That's key. But one key thing about leadership as well is mentors and role models. You need to have mentors. For me, and that was one of the things that I tried to do over the years, I mentor a lot of people. I'm in a privileged position as one of the few Black professors in the university. So I want more Black professors. Right now, we're running a program on aspiring vice chancellors. You won't believe that you only have 2 Black vice chancellors in 165 UK universities.
Wow.
That's sad. So, and how will somebody become a vice chancellor when you see and you can only see 2 of you there? So mentorship is key. Role modeling is key. Even going to political leadership, the more you see the young ones there, if the young ones, okay, I can see a 30-year-old person as president, then those young ones would aspire to become president. So role modeling, mentoring, both formal and informal mentoring, those things are key. But at the end, finally, like I know that we don't have so much time, is about give people the opportunity to lead. Practice. No, this is not political. Because at the end,
go ahead. I'm not going to interrupt you.
This is not political. In business, if you want somebody to learn how to lead, then give them the opportunity to lead. You want to become the CEO, give the person the opportunity to be one. You have to practice leadership. If you want to learn how to communicate, what do? You communicate. If you want to learn how to listen, you listen. Those things, those skills can only be learned. Because at the end, don't be afraid to fail. Fail forward. You learn from your mistakes. Leadership is the training ground. You have to learn. Not the truth, and that's why I'm usually sympathetic about leaders, because I know that not everybody can love you. They're human, but you learn from those mistakes. You fail forward, and that to me is very key. So, in becoming a leader, these are the key things you need to think about. Educate yourself. Make it a personal journey. Build capacity in doing that, and practice. Get a role model, a mentor if you don't have one, and definitely you'll be a better leader.
Wow. So, guys, you can see, like I said earlier, we are going to learn a lot from this particular activity. And I believe some of us listening to us, some of you listening to us out there, you are making your note. What I would say is that when you go to our link, we'll put the link that will take you to some of the Prof's work that you can access and read for yourself. It's a lot for us to digest here, especially with the limited time we have. So sit back, learn from us, go to our page, click the link. We'll put the links on the comment section, and you can, click on the link and read about this ideas of leadership that Prof is putting forward. Again, make sure you share our page. Make sure you spread this good news so that others will learn from what you have learned today. We are not concluding yet. We have a few more minutes to ask Prof question before he disappears.
Yeah, my native adage says, if you climb Iroko tree, gather as much firewood as you can, because you don't climb Iroko tree very often. So now we have Iroko in the house. We ride him like a hired bicycle.
So, Prof, like we made mention of, again, most of our listeners, most of our followers are Nigerians and Africans in diaspora. And, over the years, where people, Nigerians or Africans, go abroad to acquire leadership training. And like you said earlier, but when they go back into the system, it seems like the culture kind of influence most of the activities. But for the benefit of our listeners who would want to learn more today, how do you see the diaspora playing a role in reshaping leadership and governance in places like Africa, broadly speaking?
Good question, Harry. And of course, three of us are all products of migration in that sense. And for me, we are very important. We play a very key part in changing how Nigeria is going to look like. First, we have this global exposure, and we should not take it for granted. Many of us have studied here, we've gotten our PhDs here. So we're able to be the voice for the voiceless, in the sense that we can go back to Nigeria and shape things. Because why are you doing this if you cannot go back and try to be the change? Most of the time, it's easy for people to complain, but why can't you go there and change it? And that's one of the things I intend to do later. I'm keen on trying to see how we can support Nigeria, regardless of. So I'm really trying to see, yes, how can I play my part in shaping what Nigeria has to do? So that for me is important. So we need to think about that. And for me, one thing that is important, that contribution is not about location. You can contribute from any part of the world. So let's not think about, because many people, okay, I can't contribute, it means I have to relocate. You don't need to relocate in order for you to support Nigeria. Now we have the internet, we have technology. We are doing this podcast. Many years ago, you couldn't have been able to do this. And it's going to show in different parts of the world. So there is a hybrid approach. So as people in diaspora, like sometimes I'm supporting media and I'm doing it in my office in the UK as well. So we can contribute. We don't need to relocate. You have to ask, how can we support what we're trying to do? How can we partner as well? Partnership is key. We need to collaborate with those within Nigeria, how we can partner with them, how can we support them? And I do a lot of partnership. I support in the ways I can. Of course, as a capacity builder, as a role model, as a mentor, you need to try to do that, because that's the way we can do it. Because we are privileged to be part of the system. We know how leadership, Oscar was talking about how leadership should look like. So we know how these things are. So at the end, we need to be able to advise. If they're not going to listen, I know we're going to go to them, not listen. But at least we have done our part and we have played our part by doing it. And that for me is so important. And finally, as people of diaspora, we should not be afraid. We should identify as people that have come from there. We should not reject where we are coming from. And of course, we have seen it in recent times where people don't want to identify as Nigerians. No, I didn't say Nigerians.
If you say Nigerians, you are saying Peruvians. Because of the way Nigeria treated them, they don't want to identify with them.
Exactly. So people don't want to, of course, and it's you get where they're coming from, and everybody has the right to their own views. And I always strongly believe in being authentic. So you shouldn't blame somebody. The person says, I don't want to identify as a Nigerian. Nigeria didn't treat me well, or Ghana didn't treat me well. So people can do that. But at the end, people from diaspora, if you're going to support your country, then you should be proud. You should keep that connection. You should tell your kids, this is where you're coming from. And by doing that, if you keep your roots, it will also make you want to do something there. It will also make you want to invest. I think it was one of the ministers that was saying that the income in Nigeria has increased drastically because of the amount of money that people have been putting into Nigeria during the during the Christmas season and all that.
That's work from diaspora because people are there who are poor.
People are poor. But you can look at it in different ways. You see that many people, doctors are leaving the US and are going to Nigeria to set up their hospitals. People are even tired and saying, okay, I don't want to stay here. I want to go back to Nigeria and be a change. People from Silicon Valley, see the fintech industry right now, the capacity is not from those based in Nigeria. It's from people in diaspora trying to see how they can support Nigeria. So a lot of people are clearly trying to do that by going back to Nigeria to do things. So people in diaspora should try to see what we can do going forward. So yes,
I know. Elder may not. I agree with some of these.
Much as I don't agree with that, that's Prof's position. I've put my views a lot out in this podcast, and still my personal view. So I just want to say, Prof, thank you so much for coming. And I know we wouldn't exhaust this topic today, and I hope you come again when we invite you. Thank you so much.
I think thank you very much. And for me, it's a pleasure. I'm so happy that you're doing this. And it's good that people are listening to what we have to say here. For me, what is important is, at the end, leadership is not about position. It's about the impact you make in the lives of others. It's about giving back. And that is, for all the listeners, I know I've said a lot of things today, but the key thing is, as a leader, as a follower, whose life have you impacted in the last few days, on the last few weeks, in the last few years? If your role is to try to help people, then regardless of where you are, you'll be a better person. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Well, you heard it from the horse's mouth, like my uncle would say. So thank you very much, Prof, for this. I would, all of us in the house would agree that it's been a very productive evening, having, constructive conversations, even though Elder here may not agree with some of the positions, but, it's good. And that is why we have this forum to, for people to air their views. We may have divergent views, but at the end of the day, the message is clear. We are here to learn. We learn, we educate. We bring out those discussions that will also, instigate further discussion that will make people to go and research about certain subjects so that they can benefit from such conversations. So once again, like Elder said already, we want to appreciate you for coming. And this is not the end of the discussion. And like you said, there are many theories of leadership, and we'll come back to look at leadership in maybe in the business setting and other environments.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, viewers, it's been an interesting evening, and you would agree with me that it's been very, the discussion here has been very inspiring, and I would encourage you to continue to follow Glasscast podcast, because we are bringing yet and yet more informative episodes. Remember to subscribe to our page, like our page, follow us, and always listen to our weekly episode. Till we see you next week. Goodbye.